question I get asked the most is, how do you cook beef ribs? Well, turns out it's just about the easiest thing there is to cook. So today, we're gonna cook beef ribs. This one's pretty small. It's a plate rib from the grocery store. I think it's gonna take about 6 hours to cook. If you had a bigger one, you may be looking at closer to 8 hours. First step, I'm gonna slather the beef ribs in Louisiana hot sauce. You could do anything you want, really. You could use oil, you could not use anything. I like the hot sauce. It gives it kind of an added tang, and it helps the rub stick a little bit. I'm just gonna slather a little bit, kind of get a little wet. I'm gonna sprinkle on some salt. I only use kosher salt. Table salt's too fine. So kind of get all sides. I like to do the salt first so you can see how much you're putting on. And a ton of pepper. You could put any kind of rub you wanted to. And then the fire, I'm looking to cook these beef ribs about 285. I tend to go a little bit hotter than I do with brisket. It's got bones in there, bone side down. Kind of helps shield it, kind of helps insulate it just a little bit. Also helps it cook a lot faster. One thing to be a little bit careful of with the beef ribs is if you cook really, really hot, you'll cook out a lot of bone marrow and stuff out of the bones, and they tend to get a little bit gamey. So, on it goes. All right, so it's been about 5.5 hours. I'm gonna spritz it, keep it moist, keep the edges from getting too crunchy, and I'm gonna actually probe it with my trusty thermometer, just to kind of get a feel for what's going on in there. It's looking really, really nice. Got a good bark, not getting too crunchy. What I'm feeling for is to see if it's feeling pretty tight or if it feels like it's starting to get tender. It's starting to get tender back here, but still got a ways to go up there. Shut the lid and come back in a little bit. These beef ribs are about 6.5 hours in. I'm thinking they're pretty close to done. I'm gonna probe. Oh yeah, those feel great. So I'm gonna take them off. Always use a towel. Kind of pick them up. You want these ribs to be tender. They should almost fall apart, but not quite. But what I'm really going for is I'm gonna probe inside here, but I'm going right in between the bones. So when you poke through the bark, it should feel like melted butter on the probe. You're not really looking at temperatures. If you were, it'd be around 200 degrees, but each rib's a little bit different. So super duper soft. And right here, there's that second membrane between the bones and the meat. When you go through, you can feel the probe poke right through the second membrane. And that's what you're really going for. If that feels tender, this rib is done. Don't forget to let it rest just for a little bit to let it reabsorb some of the juices too. A lot of people ask about beef ribs. It's really no big deal. Salt and pepper, spritz it with water, some vinegar, apple juice, whatever you want. But the point is, cook it till it's done. Don't cook it too hot where you burn it, and don't cook it low enough where you don't render fat. Piece of cake.